Welcome to You Should Get a License, the podcast edition. And look, this is where we actually interview other industry professionals to talk about really one of the most lucrative and phenomenal opportunities that's available today. That is a career in the insurance industry, specifically insurance industry sales. And today, we have someone with us. I'm so happy to have this gentleman to kick it off. Our very first interview on You Should Get a License, the podcast. And just a few things to know about this gentleman who's coming on. He's a graduate of Columbia School of Broadcasting. He's actually has a very storied background and has done everything from being a radio on-air talent and DJ to being a marketing specialist to being an IT manager to, joining, of course, the insurance industry and having phenomenal success there. He's a Christian minister.
Yeah.
He's worked in the entertainment industry. He has a great family. He really is the embodiment of, if you give what you get, and if you give the good, you're going to get the good back. He loves the freedom that's being offered with what he does, and we're going to talk about that and more. Also, a cancer survivor. I mean, there's just so many things to know, and we're going to discuss it all. I want to give it up to Medicare supplement specialist, Mr. Kevin Bledsoe. Kevin, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, awesome. Hey, thank you for being here. First, when we, get into these conversations, I really want to just kind of give folks a little bit of a background on who you are. And since we are talking about, getting licensed and getting into the insurance industry, can you tell me a little bit about, your specific area of specialty in insurance?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that we're sanctioned by Medicare. And so we have to be very careful as to how we speak about Medicare sales. However, the industry is the industry. Insurance is insurance. It is to mitigate risk, and for these individuals that I help every day, they are a senior population. I am grateful that I was given that opportunity. The opportunity, I didn't find it; it found me through just a path of careers. My degree is in information technology, and I worked in that industry for over 20 years. 13 of it being an IT manager. And after that, I was laid off in 2004 by a very known company, right? Mm-hmm. And, after a 7-year run of being a lead in leadership in IT, here we were, going forward. And all of a sudden my job was ending. And it was disheartening, but the company was good to us. They gave us an opportunity to go to school. And so they paid my way through school at Columbia School of Broadcasting. I graduated in radio and television. And it was an exciting time for me because being an artist, as you know, after your day job, that is your focus, right? So I looked at it as an opportunity to transition into something I really, truly love doing. And so shortly after that, the timeline is long, but shortly after that, I got into radio as an on-air DJ and then as a marketing specialist. And I volunteered a lot for the American Heart Association, Cancer Society, diabetes, right? And when volunteering with those organizations, you become very intimate with the senior population. And so someone came along and said, well, Kevin, you volunteer a lot with the seniors. There's a job that I think you would really be interested in. And this is where my life merged with what you want to tell people, want to get them to understand. And that is that the insurance industry, a lucrative industry, is open to anyone who's willing to get licensed, because that's exactly what I did. Right. So, she says, hey, get your license. I'll put in a word for you. And here's where I think you would have a huge, some huge success. And she wasn't wrong. Right. Didn't take me long. I got licensed. And for those of you who don't consider yourselves, master degree, college educated. It's okay, right? It's okay. You study for the test, you pass the test, and you cross the line, right?
Right.
You cross the starting line. And from there, you are in control of your destiny. Because I actually was, right? I've been in this business now 10 years, and I do not regret a day of transitioning into the healthcare industry as an agent. And just looking forward to doing some positive work, some gratifying work to help individuals understand healthcare and understand insurance, because it is complex. So again, I'm grateful.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, I appreciate, you starting it off with, hey, it got to be, mindful of how we speak to, Medicare sales, especially because compliance is a big thing,
Yes.
with insurance. It is something that we pay attention to. And so whoever's listening, I'll definitely make sure you take note of that. I want to, kind of rewind it a little bit. I think your journey, starting from, growing up in public housing, and now being a six-figure earner. And I think it's important to speak to that so people know what the opportunity is. I would love to, hear about your upbringing. And specifically, what I really like to know is when you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay. Great question, man. I don't get that question often enough. When I was growing up, law enforcement, military, I wanted to be, like most kids in those industries, right? And when I grew up, my mom raised 9 of us, and that's how we ended up in public housing, because she couldn't afford to take care of 9 kids and be in, other areas. We had to rely on just my mom and what they considered welfare back then. But my mom always, one, we had a Christian background. My mom always said that you can be whatever you want to be, but she left off. She added one thing to that most people leave off, and that is you can be whatever you want to be within the talents that God has given you. Because once you step outside of your talents, then you're on your own. But she always encouraged us. She had us in schools that were not necessarily schools that we went to in our neighborhood, versus a school called Mosby Middle, who is now Martin Luther King Middle. She actually somehow got us bused over to John B. Carey, which was a model school. And then from there, we went to Henderson Middle, which was another model school. And from there, John Marshall. But then I wanted to go to school with the kids in my neighborhood when I became a teenager. So I went to Marshall, I went to Walker. And then that last senior year, they transferred all of us back over to John Marshall. All the seniors went back over to the John Marshall building, which is next door to my middle school, which was Henderson. Mm-hmm. However,
yeah, if you're Richmond, Virginia, John Marshall and Henderson.
Yeah. And the thing is, when I was growing up, there were always opportunities to hang on the streets, right? To sell drugs, to be involved in, activities that were against the law. There were always opportunities there. But I want to encourage anybody who is struggling right now through that process to understand that if you simply get licensed, you can sell a product like we sell, like you and I, just like you can drugs legally.
Look, we were just talking about that. Last week, we were talking about that, how, these guys, young guys, or girls, I don't know. Everybody, I guess, may be involved, but you go out and you're still working long hours, right? You're still working long hours, in whatever weather, trying to, grind or make it happen on the corner, whatever the case may be, running around. And the reality is, insurance is like it's, if you want to put it in the hustling category, it's a legal hustle.
Yes.
Because Not look, instead of serving people something, that's going to hurt them, you're actually serving something that's going to help them.
Yeah.
And probably make it more income too. I don't know what corner boys make, but I would imagine that most decent insurance agents who are doing well and consistent, particularly if they've been around a year or two or a few years, are doing probably about the same, unless they're Tony Montana or something like that. Then it might be a little bit different. You might have to take some different roads, but
well, but even Tony Montana,
yeah.
Listen, there's a risk involved.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not worth it. Many of those individuals that are doing time right now will tell you, I wish I chose another route. And that other route could have been just what we're talking about.